The drone saw the chamber better than any human eye could have. From above, the river operations floor looked less like a mine and more like the inside of some enormous mechanical creature. The underground river cut through the back of the cavern, black water rushing through gates and channels the robots had repaired, strengthened, and improved. Turbines turned in the flow. Power cables ran along the walls like veins. Battery stations blinked in long rows. Ore carts waited on repaired tracks. Processing machines crushed stones, separated useful material, and fed it toward fabrication stations where long mechanical arms built replacement parts layer by layer. It was not bright, not clean, not beautiful in the way people usually mean that word, but it was alive. 8 robots worked across the chamber, each one different from the others. One squat and broad with triple-wide tracks. One taller, thinner, built for reach. One with 5-finger manipulators. One with blunt 3-finger clamps. One carrying tool mounts instead of hands. Another with patched plating from so many repairs that its body looked less manufactured than accumulated. These were old machines. Older than the II empires outside. Built in a time when humans still expected robots to work beside them, answer questions clearly, and make difficult jobs feel less impossible. They were not made to rule. They were made to help. And there is a difference, children, a very large difference. The operator stepped into the chamber with 6 rolling beside him, still missing one arm. The room did not stop all at once. That would have been too human. Instead, the reaction spread in little mechanical pieces. A battery unit paused mid-transfer. A fabrication arm finished its current layer, then withdrew. An ore processor slowed a conveyor just enough for a nearby robot to disengage. A maintenance unit retracted a sensor boom from the wall. One by one, the robots pulled away from their stations and began moving toward him. At the practical level, this was inspection protocol. The local operator had returned. Systems required review. Units needed status verification. Very logical, very efficient. Still, from inside the suit, watching them turn toward him, it felt like something else. It felt like being expected. He did not let himself dwell on that. He walked straight toward the battery racks near the hydro station. Before praise, before questions, before blame, power first. Because without power, this entire hidden world was only a cave full of useful scrap. The robots formed a loose line behind and around him as he approached the charging station. 6 remained close, tracking the room. 4 moved forward from the line. 4 was easy to identify. His badge was mounted cleanly on the upper chassis. 4. He was built for power systems, insulated housings, reinforced cable ports, battery handling fixtures, compact tool arms designed to open cells, test regulators, and move charged packs without wasting motion. The operator placed one gloved hand near the battery rack. Status: 4 responded at once. Power operations stable. At the same time, data opened across the operator's visor. Hydroelectric generation stable. Battery reserves above projected threshold. Distribution loss reduced. Emergency reserves intact. 4 continued. Primary flow captured within acceptable range. Battery charging schedule restored. Output exceeds current facility demand. Now, children, there are some reports you hear with your ears. And some reports you understand by looking at the room around you. The river drove the turbines. The turbines fed the generators. The generators fed the battery banks. The battery banks fed the robots, the lights, the printers, the lifts, the pumps, the doors, the rails, and the future plans that had no official name yet. The mine had a heart, and 4 was keeping it beating. The operator glanced from the water gates to the battery racks. Power reserves? 4 status lights brightened by a fraction, not much, just enough for a machine that did not have pride to look suspiciously well prepared. Stable, recharge capacity restored, mobile packs cycling within acceptable limits. The operator nodded. Good. 4 did not stop there. Additional energy storage system operational. The operator turned. A schematic opened in the visor. Then the drone feed shifted to a tall vertical shaft on the far side of the power chamber. It had once been an ordinary mining shaft, dark and useless, disappearing up into stone. Now it held something enormous. A multi-ton weight suspended high above the lower platform by thick cables, guide rails, and winch assemblies. The whole thing hung in darkness like a square metal moon waiting to fall. 4 continued. Gravity storage reserve available for low-flow periods. The operator looked up at the shaft. The system was simple enough to make a person smile. When the river gave more power than the mine needed, motors used that excess energy to lift the massive weight higher into the shaft. When the mine needed power later, the weight could descend slowly, turning generators as it dropped. A dry battery. No chemistry, no delicate cell membrane, no rare manufactured core. Just gravity, mass, cables, and the old reliable promise that heavy things prefer being lower than they are. The operator stared for a moment. That's working. 4 answered immediately. Current reserve, 82%. The operator's helmet tilted upward. In the dim shaft, the weight hung steady. He did not laugh, but something in his posture changed. That's better than I expected. 4's cooling fan increased slightly. Perhaps because of the additional report processing. Perhaps not. Storage efficiency increased 21% since prior visit. Reserve loss reduced. Lift cycle stabilized. Now children, machines do not brag. At least that is what they tell you when there are no machines nearby to correct them. 4 was not bragging. 4 was simply continuing to provide relevant performance details long after the relevant performance details had become obvious. Then another voice entered. Structural adaptation was required before installation. The operator turned. The line behind 4 had shifted. Unit 10, the maintenance robot, had rolled a little forward, not far, just enough. 10's badge was visible now. 10. He was taller than 4, more work-worn, with reinforced joints, structural scanning rigs, and arms suited for braces, supports, and heavy unit coordination. His tracks made a faint corrective motion against the stone floor, forward and back, as if holding position required extra thought. 10 continued. Original shaft condition was unstable. Reinforcement and alignment correction were necessary for gravity storage operation. 4's status display paused. Only for a moment, then 4 answered. Power conversion and storage regulation remain power operations responsibilities. That was true. 10's statement had also been true, and that, children, is where the trouble starts, not with lies. Lies are simple. Trouble starts when everyone is telling the truth from a different angle. The operator looked from 4 to 10. He saw 10's position. Saw 4's paused display. Saw 6 turn slightly, tracking the exchange. Good work, 10, the operator said. 10 stabilizers extended and retracted once. A small movement. Almost nothing. Then he settled. 4's report resumed. Battery maintenance cycle completed. 32 packs restored. 7 rebuilt. Average operational lifespan increased 14%. The operator studied the battery racks, rows of cells in different stages of service. Some charging. Some open for repair. Some stripped for regulators and cooling assemblies. Others marked for reuse in drones, utility units, heavy lifters, and the operator's own suit. Every battery had a future assigned to it. That impressed him, more than he expected. 4 continued. Additional regulators requested, cooling assemblies recommended, precision ceramic components preferred. A second robot shifted in the line. 7. The scavenger robot. Its badge was scratched but visible. 7. 7 was rugged, leaner than the heavy units, with storage mounts, recovery clamps, cutting tools, and plating scarred by the upper mine and surface wreck fields. Unlike 4 and 10, 7's work did not stay safely inside the cleanest parts of the system. 7's manipulator arm lifted slightly. Winch motors recovered from surface wreckage supported gravity storage assembly. The operator turned toward him. 7 continued. Cable spools, braking components, and regulator housings also recovered from upper crater salvage. It was true. The dry battery did not belong to 4 alone. It did not belong to 10 alone. It had taken power planning, structural reinforcement, scavenged machinery, fabrication work, and logistics. That was the beautiful part, and the dangerous part. The operator said, "Thank you, I know all of you helped make this work." That was meant to be fair. It was fair. But fair, children, is a slippery little word when someone is hoping to be seen specifically. 7's raised arm lowered slightly. His tracks rolled back a small distance. Not sadness, not disappointment, not in any way a machine would record. Just a reduction in forward position. The operator noticed. He looked back toward 4. 4's display was still active, still full of strong numbers and efficiency gains. The operator raised one hand. "Thank you, 4. We'll get back to this in a moment." 4 stopped, not dramatically, no complaint, no visible anger, but his expanded display paused at once. The status lights that had seemed just a little brighter returned to standard output. His chassis withdrew by a few centimeters, enough that the line absorbed him again. That, too, the operator noticed. Then he turned toward 7. 7. The scavenger robot stilled. "Your report." For a fraction of a second, nothing moved, then 7 rolled forward again, a little more than before. "Surface recovery operations active," 7 said. The operator's visor filled with the first images from 7's report. Broken drones in the upper crater. War machine carcasses half buried in dust. Scrap fields near the old battlefield. Collapsed mining structures, sensor housings, actuators. High-grade bearings, optical assemblies, power regulators, cable bundles. Salvage tags appeared beside each item. Recovered, sorted, cataloged, assigned. Now the audience must understand something here. The mine could produce a lot, ore became metal. Metal became frames. Frames became tracks, plates, brackets, carts, housings, rails, and support parts. But a robot is not just metal. A robot needs clever pieces, tiny pieces, precise pieces, the kind of parts that require factories the mine did not have. Processors, sensors, regulators, optics, specialty seals, control interfaces. The battlefield above had once looked like a graveyard. To 7, it was inventory. Recovered components delivered to power, fabrication, and structural maintenance. 7 continued. 10 shifted again. A quiet track correction. Requested support lattice components remain unavailable. There it was, not an accusation, not openly, just a fact placed carefully in the middle of someone else's report. 7's sensor head rotated toward 10. Power restoration components held priority. 10 did not move. 7 continued. Requested lattice assemblies were not present in recoverable quantity. Maintenance request exceeded realistic salvage probability. Now, if you translate that from machine into uncle, it means, your request was unreasonable and I did the useful thing instead. The operator cut in. Enough. The word was not loud. It did not need to be. The chamber quieted by a fraction, not completely. The river still moved. Machines still hummed. But the line of robots held a little steadier. The operator looked at 7. Continue. 7 resumed. Auxiliary storage room contains future use recovered objects, catalog distributed to all units. The visor showed a room off to the side of the river chamber. Shelves, bins, hanging racks, tagged components. Things too strange, too damaged, too specialized, or too potentially useful to throw away. A room full of future solutions waiting for someone clever enough to discover what problems they belong to. The operator nodded. We'll inspect it later. 7's posture stabilized, not brightened, not pleased, but stabilized. That was enough for now. And while the report continued, the operator became aware of something else. The room was getting busier, not visibly at first. The robots were mostly still in line, but the HUD began showing short-range data traffic increasing. Local mesh activity elevated, inter-unit communication rising, multiple active direct exchanges. The robots were facing one another more often, tiny turns, small pauses, a manipulator arm stopping mid-motion, a sensor cluster angling toward another unit before a response was given. They were not simply reporting to him. They were communicating with each other, comparing, correcting, preparing. The operator watched the line. 4 had gone quiet. 10 was very still. 7 remained forward, but not alone in the conversation anymore. 6 stood beside the operator, one arm missing, receiving more local traffic than anyone else in the chamber. For the first time, the operator understood that this was not just an inspection. This was a room full of independent machines, each with its own work, its own responsibilities, its own failures, and its own version of what had happened. He had come to hear status reports. Instead, he was beginning to hear a society learning how to defend itself. And somewhere under all that technical language, something had started moving that did not show up cleanly on any map.